Lisa Bonet has always been known for her quiet grace, her spiritual approach to life, and her unwavering dedication to protecting the people she loves from the glare of public scrutiny. When news broke that she and Jason Momoa were parting ways, it felt like a shock to nearly everyone outside their inner circle. They were this magnetic couple, bohemian and free-spirited, united by a shared devotion to their children and each other's artistic ambitions. So much so that fans, friends, and media outlets alike had come to view them as the very picture of a modern, enlightened relationship. Yet behind that serene facade, a more complicated story was unfolding, one that Lisa shielded from public eyes until she felt the moment was right. Now, after months of near silence and speculative rumors, she's finally chosen to speak about the conversations she and Jason have had since their divorce. And what she has to say reveals as much about their ongoing bond as it does about the separation they experienced. She doesn't share these details to fan the flames of gossip or to cast blame. Her reasons are rooted in something deeper, a desire for clarity, closure, and maybe even hope for others who find themselves in a similar position. For Lisa, this is about showcasing the threads of understanding that can remain between two people who once shared everything. When she does decide to open up, her words arrive with the calm, introspective energy that has always been her hallmark. She doesn't speak in dramatic absolutes. She speaks in reflections, evoking the sense that life is constantly in flux and that relationships, no matter how deeply cherished, can transform in ways we never anticipated. To understand why this moment is so significant, it's worth remembering how Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet's love story began. Their relationship, which started in the mid-2000s, felt to onlookers like a cosmic pairing. Jason, the towering Hawaiian actor with an aura of wild energy, and Lisa, the ethereal artist and actress whose roles and style choices had captivated audiences since her days as Denise Huxtable. Their union produced two children, Lola and Nakoa Wolf, and fused seamlessly with Lisa's life as a mother to Zoe Kravitz, her daughter with musician Lenny Kravitz. Jason famously bonded with Lenny, publicly referring to him as a brother. On social media, the entire family appeared united, forging a new version of blended family harmony that seemed effortless, if not downright aspirational. Yet marriages, even the ones that look ideal, face trials that outsiders seldom see. The demands of Jason's career multiplied when he catapulted to blockbuster status through roles like Aquaman. Lisa, by contrast, had stepped away from a regular Hollywood schedule, choosing a more grounded existence for herself and the children. Over the years, the strain of physical distance and diverging life paths became increasingly apparent, though no one outside their circle heard much about it. Then came the official announcement, a poetic statement about growth and transformation, about loving one another but choosing different paths. Social media erupted in surprise, heartbreak, and endless speculation about what had driven them apart. Lisa, true to form, stepped back from the noise, offering no further explanation. Jason, meanwhile, acknowledged the reality of their split but didn't delve into painful details. The world was left to piece together rumors, uncertain how these two gentle souls had drifted into separate corners of life. Lisa's decision to remain quiet initially arose from a deep maternal instinct to protect her kids, Zoe, Lola, and Nakoa Wolf, from the whirlwind. A messy public discourse could overshadow the delicate process of restructuring their family unit, which was now on the brink of a massive shift. Months passed with little more than an occasional statement from Jason, referencing co-parenting and emphasizing respect for Lisa. Then in small, intimate gatherings of friends, Lisa started to share glimpses of her emotional journey, how she processed the divorce, and perhaps most intriguingly, how she and Jason found it within themselves to keep talking. These glimpses have now crystallized into a more cohesive reflection, something she feels the world is ready, or maybe even needs to hear. According to her, while their marriage might have ended in a legal sense, the lines of communication remained open. And not only open, but in some ways deeper than what outsiders might expect. This, she suggests, is rooted in mutual respect and years of true friendship that existed beneath the romance. Even when a marriage falters, a certain closeness can survive if nurtured properly. She recalls the first difficult conversation she had with Jason after the divorce decision was public. It wasn't an argument or an attempt to change each other's minds. Instead, it was a raw, honest phone call in which both admitted they still cared about each other's well-being. Lisa says she was struck by how genuine Jason sounded, like he was worried about her mental and emotional health. It was as if, in that moment, the external pressures of Hollywood fell away, and they were just two people trying to figure out how to support each other through a life-altering transition. Neither one of them had all the answers. They'd never navigated a divorce before, not with each other, and each day brought new questions. But they resolved that day to keep each other updated, especially regarding the children, and to be gentle in the language they used when describing the split. Lisa's voice grows reflective when she recounts that after their initial conversation, several more followed. Some were straightforward, logistical check-ins about scheduling visits or discussing school events. Others dove into emotional territory, regrets, what-ifs, memories both painful and sweet. They found themselves sometimes discussing old inside jokes, laughing over moments from the early years of their relationship. Lisa explains that it felt like flipping through a photo album, only instead of pictures, it was her mind rummaging through a decade of shared experiences. Certain recollections brought laughter. Others carried a sting of nostalgia, an acknowledgement that what was lost wasn't trivial. Yet the way she speaks about these calls suggests there wasn't bitterness dominating the conversation. Instead, there was a kind of melancholic gratitude, a recognition that they were both grappling with the end of something they believed would last forever. She is quick to clarify, however, that this newfound communication isn't a sign they're reconciling romantically. The marriage, in her words, had run its course. So why keep talking? For Lisa, it's about honoring the family they built. Lola and Nakoa Wolf, their children, are her central priority, and she wants them to feel a consistent sense of love and security from both parents. Lisa says that divorces can create emotional fault lines in children's lives if the parents allow bitterness to seep into daily interactions. She refused to let that happen. And so, if exchanging a few heartfelt words every so often with Jason was the best way to maintain that stability, she was more than willing to do it. Another dimension to these conversations arises from Jason's new chapter in life. Since the split, the media has linked him to other relationships, generating an undercurrent of speculation about whether Lisa felt replaced or overshadowed. According to her, though, this isn't the source of conflict people might expect. While she acknowledges that seeing someone you once loved and married move on is never easy, she insists that their discussions have been civil, even supportive at times. She wants Jason to be happy, she says, as long as that happiness doesn't come at the expense of the emotional safety of their children. In one conversation, as Lisa recounts, Jason apparently expressed concerns about how or when to introduce a new partner to Lola and Nakoa Wolf. The fact that he asked for her perspective, Lisa notes, was not an attempt to gain permission, so much as it was to ensure they could move forward without causing rifts for the kids. She told him they'd need to tread carefully and that honesty and patience would be key. More than anything, she emphasized that how they navigated these next steps would shape their children's perception of love, boundaries, and respect. Her mention of boundaries is particularly telling. She's not naive about the emotional complexities that can emerge post-divorce. She's had experience watching other families crumble into acrimony when a new partner steps on the scene. She resolved never to become antagonistic or let jealousy poison the well. Instead, she and Jason established informal rules. Nothing legal or binding, simply mutual agreements on how to handle important introductions, shared holidays, or major decisions affecting the kids. And while they don't always see eye to eye, Lisa believes the act of having these conversations with sincerity and mutual respect has prevented resentments from festering. Sometimes the calls are quick, hardly more than a minute. Other times they stretch into long, reflective dialogues about life's uncertainties. That's one of the surprising outcomes she never anticipated, discovering a new layer of depth in their relationship, one that exists without the expectations and pressures of marriage, but with the enduring desire to see each other content and healthy. Even so, the path isn't entirely free from hurt. Lisa admits there are pangs of sadness when she remembers the man she fell in love with, back when they were forging a life that felt inseparable. She tells friends that it's like living in two timelines simultaneously, One where she's the mother of his children, in a partnership she believed would last forever, and the other where she's forging a singular path, nurturing a quieter personal life, unraveling the threads of a union that once defined her day-to-day world. Jason likewise carries his own regrets, from what Lisa has gathered. The schedule he kept, the nights he chose work obligations over family dinners, the subtle ways he may have taken her presence for granted. These regrets surface, often in the small admissions Jason drops in their chats. But she cautions that dwelling too heavily on regrets can keep both parties anchored in the past. Instead, she advocates for acknowledging them, giving them space to breathe, and then letting them go in favor of focusing on what each day can bring. One of the deeper revelations in Lisa's post-divorce conversations with Jason is how they collectively handle stress related to their children's emotional well-being. She describes an instance when Lola faced teasing at school after tabloids published rumors about Jason's personal life. The children, despite being somewhat accustomed to the spotlight, still find it hurtful and confusing when classmates repeat gossip about their parents. Lisa says she immediately picked up the phone, called Jason, and told him about the situation. They spoke for nearly an hour, brainstorming how to address their daughter's feelings, how to reassure her that she's loved and that rumors often distort reality. By the end of the call, they had a plan. Jason would visit, talk to Lola directly, share some truth about what's happening in a way a child can understand. Lisa would follow up by creating a safe space at home for Lola to express her frustrations. For Lisa, that collaboration exemplifies why they keep communication open. Even in the aftermath of a marriage's end, they still function as a parenting team. Her perspective also sheds light on how breakups in Hollywood are rarely as cut and dried as the media makes them out to be. Headlines often scream about infidelity, financial disputes, or irreconcilable differences. But Lisa suggests that their relationship breakdown was more about incremental drift, tiny moments of misalignment accumulating over time, work schedules, personal growth, evolving priorities. Love that once felt like a vibrant flame slowing to a flicker under the weight of conflicting obligations. The tabloids yearn for drama, but Lisa's words suggest a more human, subdued narrative of two people who realized they couldn't find their way back to what once was. In describing her current mindset, Lisa uses phrases like settled into myself and cocoon of reflection. She's reading more, journaling extensively, and taking up creative pursuit that she'd set aside during the peak of her and Jason's partnership. Some days she even finds it liberating not to revolve her schedule around another adult's filming commitments. She cherishes the autonomy, though she's quick to admit that freedom sometimes feels bittersweet. After all, for the better part of 2 decades, she navigated life hand in hand with Jason, planning travel around his shoots, raising children in tandem, celebrating achievements that felt shared. Letting go of that constant presence means forging a new identity, re-examining her passions, and being okay with the silence that follows major life changes. She's also found comfort in her deepened connections with Zoe, Lenny, and a circle of close friends who've known her since her earliest acting days. Zoe, in particular, has been an emotional backbone, having experienced divorce from a child's perspective when Lisa and Lenny split in the early 1990s. Now Zoe is an adult who supported her mother through the dissolution of another marriage. Sometimes the roles feel reversed. Zoe providing Lisa the reassurance that life continues, that it's possible to love someone and still let them go gracefully. Those are lessons Zoe gleaned from observing her parents' respectful post-divorce relationship, and Lisa finds it humbling to see her daughter pass that wisdom back to her. When asked if she regrets any part of the decision to split, Lisa remains steadfast. The divorce needed to happen for both her and Jason to continue growing as individuals. Her sharing of their post-divorce conversations underscores that the end of a marriage doesn't automatically mean the end of love. Instead, love can change shape, evolving into a gentler fondness that allows for friendship and co-parenting. Their phone calls illustrate that the core of their relationship, mutual admiration, a shared sense of responsibility for their children, hasn't disappeared. It's simply taken on a new form. She doesn't claim it's easy. Relearning how to relate to someone who was once your spouse is tricky, especially in an industry that thrives on sensationalizing every potential misstep. But she sees it as an opportunity to model healthy boundaries for the children. The message Lisa hopes to send is that separation doesn't have to breed hostility. It can, in fact, breed understanding if approached with compassion. Some might question whether they're simply making the best of a tough situation for the sake of appearances. Lisa acknowledges that they do have public personas, but stresses that she and Jason don't spend time carefully curating a false image. If anything, she says, it might be easier to keep entirely silent and let the press run wild. But what they want, particularly for Lola and Nakoa Wolf, is an honest example of two adults who can part ways yet remain supportive in each other's growth. She hopes that one day her children will look back at these times and see parents who, despite differences, worked as a unit to maintain peace and respect. In the bigger picture, Lisa's revelations highlight a side of divorce that isn't often explored in celebrity culture. The calm that can exist after the storm, the quiet continuity of love that might not be romantic anymore, but still resonates in day-to-day life. Most headlines revolve around scandal or heartbreak. Rarely do we get a glimpse into the quieter truths: late-night phone calls about a child's project, exchanging notes on holiday schedules, or simply acknowledging that the person on the other end of the line once shared your bed, your secrets, your biggest joys. These are the mundane, deeply intimate details that define real relationships and that often vanish from the public record once a divorce is announced. Lisa, with her trademark introspection, suggests that nothing truly vanishes unless we let it. People don't vanish from our hearts even if legal papers say the marriage is over. She holds on to a sense of gratitude for the years she spent with Jason, for the home they built, for the laughter they sparked in each other. Now in their post-divorce chapter, gratitude is a current running under each conversation. She's thankful they can still express care for one another, even if it's over the phone rather than across a shared dinner table. Still, she's realistic. She and Jason aren't best friends who chat daily. Their conversations ebb and flow, sometimes overshadowed by new responsibilities or new relationships. But the lines of communication remain open, and that, for Lisa, is the important part. She hopes that by sharing these reflections, her finally opening up, she can show that endings can be kinder than the narrative we so often see portrayed. She doesn't want illusions of a perfect post-divorce friendship, but she wants the world to know that peace is possible if people are willing to communicate openly, respectfully, and with empathy for each other's vulnerabilities. As for the future, Lisa remains open to whatever form these conversations with Jason take. If he remarries or if she finds love elsewhere, she believes they can continue to coordinate and care for their children without undermining each other's new paths. She sees co-parenting as a living process, one that will change over time as the kids grow up. There will be graduations, birthdays, even weddings. She intends for Jason to be right there, by her side, celebrating their children's milestones, reflecting on a shared life that, despite its ups and downs, produced two remarkable young people. And she hopes that through each new stage, they can remain confident in the knowledge that love, once real, doesn't simply disappear, it adapts. By choosing to speak at all, Lisa is acknowledging that many fans and media outlets have craved an explanation. Yet the explanation is more nuanced than any rumor or headline can encapsulate. It's a tapestry of phone calls, honest admissions, moments of tension, moments of laughter, and an ongoing effort to ensure that the bond they forge still serves their children and, in a quieter way, each other. This is the portrait Lisa paints of a post-divorce reality that is neither perfectly ideal nor destructively bleak. It's simply human. It's a continuous conversation, one that evolves along with their emotional states and the needs of their family. And therein lies her final message. Divorce doesn't have to be a war. It can be a transformation, one that hurts, but also one that might lead to a better understanding of ourselves and the people we've loved. For Lisa, every conversation with Jason is a small step in that ongoing journey. Some days it's painful, other days it's reassuring, but it's always in its own way a testament to the fact that what they shared was real and still echoes in the life they continue to build, however separate their paths may be. Lisa Bonet's openness about these calls, texts, and occasional face-to-face chats with Jason Momoa illuminates the often unspoken territory of celebrity breakups, the gentle hum of everyday interactions that persists after the cameras have turned away. By finally discussing these details, she gives everyone watching, fans, families in similar situations, onlookers hungry for meaning, reason to believe that endings can be approached with respect, compassion, and a lingering form of love. It's a love that might not fuel romantic partnership anymore, but still quietly shapes how two people communicate, cooperate, and care for their shared children and each other. And that, perhaps, is the crux of Lisa's message. The marriage is over, but their family remains. The conversation continues. She wants the world to know that they're still talking, they're still listening, they're still trying. Because at the heart of it all, no matter how complicated or unexpected life becomes, what matters is that they never truly stop caring. And maybe that's the most surprising twist of all, that in the aftermath of heartache, there's space for a different kind of closeness, an unspoken bond that carries on in the quiet moments, defying the idea that divorce must end in silence or hostility. For Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa, it's an ongoing testament to a deeper form of respect, one that she hopes will guide them through every new chapter that lies ahead. For more of the latest news, check out the next video.